So I've been talking about this message for over 3 years now, and it's changed. It's funny how that happens. For 3 years I've been speaking about a story. In fact, even saying this is a story, but hey. So for 3 years I've been talking about how this appearance of an apparent person falls away. And of late I have seen that there is no person to fall away. That's just a story. I've been telling a story. And it's just become quite obvious of late. Everything that is what it is. It is itself. So giving the message that the person falls away, that's something, not that I've ever said it can happen, I've not said that, but saying that it falls away is misleading. Because nobody falls away. Nothing is actually happening in that regard. And to tell people that there is this possibility of the person falling away is actually a disservice. But all the talks I've done, I mean that's just the way it was happening here. But that has changed, and that's not going to be happening anymore, because nothing is true. Really, nothing is true in terms of anybody doing anything. There is no person to fall away. Because who would fall away? It's just a change in appearance. But even that suggests that every time there's a suggestion like that, the seeker will get hold of that and see it as a vague glimmer of hope that I can fall away. But this person that looks at it as a vague glimmer of hope is not even the person. It's just this. It's just what's happening. It doesn't matter what happens. Sure, in the story it can matter, but it's just a story and it's all just absolutely as it is. There's no right or wrong. See, nothing moves. Nothing goes anywhere. It's nice to tell a story, of me dropping away. But what ironically is seen is that there is no person. There is no freedom. There is only what is. And what is can appear as anything. See, what we do in this message is we separate out the person and we separate out a so-called non-person, but there's neither, because there's nobody. There's just what's going on. And that is absolute. So the seeking for no person is what's going on. But that's just how it is. No one's doing that. So there's never a hope of anybody dropping away, because there isn't anybody to drop away. This message is constantly paradoxal. That's why it's so impossible to say, well, pretty much anything. All that can be said is, there is only everything, and that can't be found, because who would find it? There is no awareness, because there is no one to be aware. There is no person, because there's no one to be a person. There is no no person, because there's no one to be a no person. It's just this. That is really beautiful, but not for any reason, not because it appears as nice, or appears as freedom, or appears as anything that the apparent person wants, because there is no apparent person. There's no apparent anything. There isn't anything that is something. There is only everything, and that can't be named or spoken about. There's only some words that can just say that there's only everything, that it is absolute, and that it is complete. And it's only complete because how could it not be complete? How could it be anything but what it is? I used to say, well, that is the freedom. But who? But the freedom for who? The freedom for who? There is no freedom. There's nothing that can be given, because it's already given. There's nothing that can be taken from the illusion, the dream of the me will fall away, or there is the possibility that the me will fall away. I mean, what even is that? You know, when you examine it, the possibility, well, there is no possibility, because who would have a possibility? The possibility that I will fall away. Well, what is that? See, none of these things can be found. And there's nothing wrong with story. The functioning of story. The human loves story. I love story. I'm a big fan of fiction. And the person is also a fiction. The future is a fiction. The past is a fiction. Everything is fiction as a story. But that's not a problem. Nothing is a problem. Problems arise, but they're not a problem. They just are what they are. This is just what it is. I sometimes wonder if I'll get to the point where there's just nothing to say anymore. There's nothing to say, and maybe I'll never switch on the camera or a recorder again, who knows? As if that was a choice at all. But what can be said is, you know, when there's a conversation happening about this, you know, about seeking and finding, wanting and needing and everything, there can be just a pointing to the delusion that there is anything else at all except for what's happening. That's all that really can be spoken about. And yet also at the same time, you know, if people say to me, oh, yeah, well, there's the possibility of me dropping away. Well, that's also a fiction. There is no one to drop away. There is nobody here. There's only everything here. And everything can appear as being somebody. That doesn't matter. Because this doesn't care what it appears as. Because it is everything. Everything's in its right place. Because how could it be otherwise? And I've been speaking for 10 minutes and haven't said anything. Ah, gorgeous.